Welcome back. In this section, we're going to take a look at an introduction into VMware Horizon 7.7. This particular section will take a look at understanding the importance of planning out a Horizon environment and being aware of some of the features that are part of Horizon, such as the instant clones, remote desktop services, and so on. It's extremely important that before you get going into actually building anything within the environment, that you take the time to actually plan it out. And we'll highlight certain areas of things to sort of watch for that will help you with that planning process. Within this section, we'll take a look at some of the features and benefits within Horizon. We'll talk about some of the conceptual and logical architecture of Horizon itself. And then we'll talk about what a use case is and how you can convert your end users into a use case. One of the things to understand about Horizon is that it's built upon one of the premises that's really sort of core to VMware, which is the idea of any application, anywhere, at any time, with any device, right? So that users have flexibility to be able to access their applications, whatever they might be, from wherever they happen to be on any device that they have. With one exception, you may notice that we do have a vending machine. That wouldn't be a device an end user would actually use, but it could be an endpoint device if you wanted. So the idea is that as an administrator, you'll have the tools to be able to provide end users with the desktop, regardless of where they are in the world. And they'll be able to get access to their applications, whether they're web-based applications, traditional Windows installed applications, or remote desktop services applications, and be able to simplify access to them. Regardless of the device that they use, they'll get the same experience within the environment. Some of the features that are sort of built into Horizon include things such as the instant clone technology. That technology allows us to build desktops within seconds. In fact, you can build about 2,000 desktops within about 40 minutes, which is considerably faster than most technologies that are out there. We can actually allow the user to have somewhat of a personal environment, even though their desktop may not be the same one that they have. They may get one desktop one time and get a different desktop another time, but the actual look and feel of the desktop or their profile will still remain the same, which is nice. And then we'll talk about how we can leverage app volumes. Now, app volumes is another piece to this overall puzzle, and it's the way that we can actually provide applications to the user regardless of the desktop that they log into. And so they'll always get the applications they need when they need them. Right? Works from any device at any location. Provided they have a network connection of some type, we'll be able to ensure that they have access to the necessary applications that they need. And because it's a package solution, it ties into vSphere. It comes with a whole variety of features, such as pool management, virtual printing options, application virtualization, certain storage management, application entitlement, and so on. Right? So it's not just one thing. The important thing to keep in mind when it comes to ensuring that your end users have the things that they need is that one answer or one option isn't always a thing for everybody. And so the nice thing with Horizon is it provides you flexibility to ensure that you pick the right tool for the right scenario. Now, if we look at our conceptual architecture layers, we can see that we start at a physical layer. You think of your physical storage that you might have, right? Or your physical networks, or the actual physical server where ESXi might be running, right? That's your physical layer. On top of that would be your virtualization layer. That's where we see ESXi itself, right? The hypervisor. And that usually entails 4 of what I affectionately call the food groups. Compute or CPU, memory, network, and disk. These 4 pieces are the things that make up virtual machines. And so without them, we wouldn't have our virtual machines. Now on top of that will be our desktop resource layer. That's where Horizon comes into play. Horizon takes care of being able to provide the desktops or pools, as we refer to them, to various end user types. And these usually tend to come from the Active Directory user groups. So you may have a user group for your contractors or a user group for your R&D, finance, and so on. So we'll create pools, usually according, and entitle them according to what we find within Active Directory. Now, we can scale these out, right, up to 250,000. And we can do multi-site. So maybe I have a production environment and a test and dev environment, and maybe a failover site in case of disaster. Now, above that would be our application resource layer. That tends to come from app volumes, but it can come from a variety of sources. This includes SaaS-based applications, maybe enterprise applications. These could be natively installed applications, so directly onto the Windows platform itself, or Linux platform, whatever it is that you want. But there is a variety of ways to provide the applications to the end user. And then user access. So how does the user actually access the environment? Right? So we take considerations into place of, are they on the road? In those cases, they'll have a mobile device like a laptop or tablet device. Or are they only in one location? Do they need to have an actual full computer, or will a thin client or zero client do fine for them? So any one of those are options that the user could use. Now, throughout all of this, we have built-in security through all the levels, as well as ease of management. One of the nice things about Horizon is that it is actually fairly easy to manage the environment, regardless of anything else. Right? All you need is a browser, and then you can be able to set up what you need. And you can even leverage role-based assignments so that someone could look after, say, the finance department, or could look after the contractors, and they wouldn't see other areas that are not necessary for them. One of the important things that sort of comes out of Horizon is the ability to provide users access to desktops and application from a single platform. So regardless of whether they're coming in with an iOS type of device, Android device, Windows device, Mac device, Linux device, a thin client or a zero client, they'll still get the same look and feel of what their applications are. It doesn't look different whether it's on one device or another. And that's really important because end users sometimes can have some difficulty when things look just a little bit different. So if we're able to ensure that the look and feel is the same, regardless of which device they use, that can mean happier end users. And that's one of the things that Horizon builds into it. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that Horizon isn't just for Windows desktops. You can also leverage it for Linux desktops. And there's a variety of Linux distributions that we do support for it. One of the key things with Horizon 7 was the concept of a just-in-time platform. This ability to be able to build the necessary things that we need for our end users for their desktops that they want to have access to. So it's made up of three pieces: Horizon itself, and specifically the instant clone feature, app volumes to provide access to the applications, and a user environment manager. So our instant clones basically provide access to a desktop. Now, if you can imagine, this desktop is read-only, which means users can't save anything to the desktop. Our app volumes provides access to the applications. The applications are also read-only, which means users can't save any changes they may do to settings for it. The last piece, User Environment Manager, is kind of a read-write concept. So the user's profile keeps the settings that they have for the environment and ensures that regardless of which desktop they end up on, they'll get their mix of applications and the settings that we want from User Environment Manager. Now, the just-in-time platform is actually a server that you can leverage and be able to build those three pieces and build out the environment as users need within the environment itself. Now, Horizon also has the ability to take advantage of third-party management tools, specifically through PowerShell. So you can actually use a PowerShell to commandlets to be able to actually do a variety of things within the environment. So you can have scripting that can be leveraged for things like configuring your vCenter server systems. You can use it for managing licensing, global configuration, and so on. And it allows for integration into vRealize Operations Manager. So you can better monitor the environment to ensure that everything stays healthy within the environment. Now, this will conclude part one of our introduction into Horizon itself. and we'll see you very shortly in part 2.